Hi Catherina, thank you for taking the time to talk to us again today.
Pleasure.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. Yes.
Good, excellent. Well, we're here today in your French Wordsworth reading office, by the looks of it.
Yes, you are. We're sat in my office, which also doubles up as a little bedroom, but yes, we're here.
Excellent, and there's even a little tiny wood burner, keeping us warm, very
warm.
French,
Yes,
lovely.
Yes.
Well, you've been chatting to me earlier on today about the manuscript editorials that you do.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be really helpful if you could just sort of say a bit about, I suppose, what process you go through when you're looking to proofread or edit a manuscript. How do you sort of approach that?
Okay, well, I try to figure out how long it's going to take me to proofread the manuscript in the first place, and allocate myself the appropriate amount of time, which is quite important so that you can then move on to other things. Otherwise you can get lost in different manuscripts. It's quite easy to do. And the other thing I'm looking for really is the structure of the manuscript, how it's laid out. Does it have a good storyline, a good plot? Does it have a beginning, a middle and an end, which is clearly very important. It's good to introduce the characters, develop the story and then finish the story off.
So when you're starting to look at doing a manuscript editorial, you'll start by having an overview of the manuscript really to see, does it have those items that you're looking for?
Yeah, and one of the other areas that we're looking for, that I look for, is the development of characters. So are the characters well developed in the manuscript? Can you see them, and how is it that the writer is showing you the characters? Can you hear them when they speak, if they talk through the characters, and kind of your feelings towards a character as well? How do you view them? Do they come across strongly, or are they weak, or could they be better developed? So they're the things that you would feed back to the writer. And sort of overall the style, the grammar, punctuation,
right, so
sentence construction, all of that is part of what we're looking for as well.
So when you're doing a manuscript editorial, you are physically proofreading it as you go along and making those changes as you go along?
Yes, making changes as I go along and making notes to myself as well about the sort of overall style of the manuscript to feed back to the writer at the end.
And how does that feedback process work?
Well, once I've finished and completed a proofread, I put together an overview sheet which covers all of the areas that we've talked about, and really the style, the content, the characterisation, the punctuation, grammar, in a structured way that gets fed back with comments on each area and each aspect of the manuscript under those headings back to the writer.
I see. So the writer's given not only the sort of proofread manuscript, but they're also given a report that they can then use to build on themselves and change the manuscript as they feel they need to.
Yes, it's a sort of a separate overview really of the whole manuscript, whereas the submission itself, you do the changes directly onto the manuscript for them to accept or decline as they wish, but the overview report gives them an overall kind of view of my thoughts on their manuscript.
And how do you find that? I mean, that must be sometimes quite a difficult process. If the manuscript is quite good, but also if it's potentially in need of quite a lot of work, it must be difficult to convey those messages over in the review report.
Yeah, it is, and I think it's important that when I do an overview report that you focus on the positive aspects, because there are always positives in any manuscript, but also it's important to be very honest where there are gaps and where things are perhaps weaker. There's no point in telling a writer that the manuscript or the style or the characterisation or the punctuation and grammar is all fine if it's not. That needs to be fed back to them so that they can build and develop on that and make progress. Otherwise, when they look to publish, they will never get any further. So it's important to be honest, but it is difficult to put that into words sometimes. When manuscripts are good, then that's easier. It's when manuscripts are difficult that it's hard to feedback positively.
Yes.
To pull something out that doesn't deflate the writer and stop them from ever doing anything in the future, because clearly that's not what we would want to do.
And does that feedback always come sort of in a written way, or do you sometimes find it's easier to talk to the author of the manuscript to make sure that those messages are conveyed easily?
Yeah, I mean, as a general rule of thumb, the feedback goes back in a written way, but if the author did want to discuss anything, then that's absolutely fine to discuss that with them on the telephone or via Skype, whichever is easiest and whatever mode of communication. But that's almost entirely up to them. If they did want further feedback, that's not a problem at all.
Yeah. Excellent. And have you ever found any manuscripts you think, yes, this is definitely going to be, a book that could turn into a really good selling published piece?
Yes, there have been a few that I have thought have been really good, but I think that's a really interesting point because it's kind of subjective what you think is good. So even though I proofread as a job, there are certain things I'm looking for, but still my personal preference on books will determine almost what you think is good or bad once they're fitted into all the things that you're looking for. So I think that's quite interesting. What I think might make a good book, somebody else might not. But there have been a few that I've come across that I thought will definitely be published and good.
Excellent. Well, thank you for talking to us again, Catherina.
Yeah, no
Lovely to
problem.
see you working
In my office,
in your little
my
office.
office.
Absolutely. Okay.
Roasting with the fire on.
Yes. Well, the fire does look lovely. I'd always, with a wood burner, you'd always want to have it on. Although I have to say, it's very sunny outside, so perhaps a little too warm in here now.
Yes.